how tired is everyone? Just to have like an idea. Good. Next question. How many people here are like, I don't know, over 50? Raise your hands if you're over 50. Yes, a few. Over 30. Good. And below that? Okay, interesting. I kind of expected more people that were younger than 30. But I guess this is kind of a tell of what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about how, well, the case of an associative ISP that we have in Barcelona. An ISP, if someone doesn't know what it is an internet services provider. So we provide connectivity and internet-related services. So I did not present myself. Hi, I'm Evilham. My name is actually Andres, but pretty much everyone knows me as Evilham. And I'm with EXO. EXO is something I will tell you about. So we'll see what EXO is. We'll share with you a bit of a personal experience of how the internet has changed over my lifetime. I was born at the beginning of the 90s, so that can tell you something. I'll tell you what we do at EXO and roughly how we do it and why we do it. So, EXO, what is it? It stands for Associació per l'Expansió de la Xarxa Oberta. This is Catalan, and it means Association for the Expansion of the Open Network. Yeah. So, it was founded in 2010, so we just celebrated a birthday of 15 years last year. It was rough, it lasted 1 month of events. It was nice, but also a lot of work. We're based in Barcelona. We're active in most of Catalonia. There is one region that we do not cover because there are no members there, but other than that, it's pretty well distributed. Mostly around the area of Barcelona, though, because capital, density of population, also because that's where the project was born. So we have a few members around Spain and also around Europe. And we offer online global services as well, because we are an ISP, so we have computational resources, and sometimes the things that we set up happen to be used by people we have no idea about. So it's a not-for-profit. EXO is a not-for-profit, and there are absolutely no employees. So I'm not here for work. I'm here just because it's something that I do outside of work as well, with a bunch of other people that also do that outside of work for fun, because it is actually fun. So that's the bit of the association. Now I will tell you about the open network bit, Xarxa Oberta. So the open network bit is we are a registered telecommunications operator. We're a member of RIDE. We're interconnected at CatNix, and we're part of the GifiNet ecosystem. So if you don't know what some of those mean, that's okay. I will try to get over them at a later point. I just wanted to get this out of the way. So this personal evolution of the internet, let's hope this works. I did not try it. I got a PC roughly in 1997. It was offline, it was Windows 95, it was a thing. It looks like we are not going to get any audio. Sad. That was a whole thing. Okay, basically this was a DSL sound. Does anyone knows how a DSL sound sounded? But yes, I see some people saying yes. That's the thing I'm talking about. Yes. That back in the end of the 90s, like I hung out a lot in internet cafes. I had a 56K modem that was pretty modern at the time. It was incredibly slow. We saw pictures load like this. There are not that many young people, but maybe the younger ones have not lived this. Because pretty quickly, in 2004 or so, I got ADSL in my home. And this was like in South America. That's where I grew up at the beginning of my life. It was quick, nice, and during that time, like right after, not much happened when it came to internet for a few years, when it came to actual my perception of the internet, right? So what you as a user usually see is changes in availability, changes in speed, changes in that kind of thing, and I did not notice much. And then something happened, and it's that I got a comment by a professor saying, most of you use computers and the internet as utilities, as appliances, namely as something that is closed, something that is done, something that is not to be fiddled with. Yeah, and I remember I was pretty appalled when he told me that, and I think it's either age or experience or the course of events has led me to less appalled about it and maybe understand it. We'll see what happens next. So, as part of that personal evolution of the internet, I got a smartphone in 2010. It had 3G and 4G because I lived in a big city in Barcelona. I then moved to Germany, and I had a downgrade when it came to my internet. I don't know, are there any Germans in the room? Oh, yes. So that was a downgrade. My ADSL went down to 6 megabits per second. I shared this with 3 other people. So we had to kind of schedule when we were calling with our people that we loved that were not in the same city, right? German mobile networks, I did not have 4G anymore, and this was a bigger city as well. At some point, the Deutsche Telekom decided to invest in something called VDSL, VDSL, which got me 100 megabits per second connection at home. And this was incredibly expensive. So my ADSL in Barcelona was pretty cheap. All of this in Germany was pretty expensive. Just things that happen. And things that I've seen in my life. So 2018, I, for reasons, spent a lot of time in Switzerland, and I came in contact with something called Sudinet, which is, I will talk about that a bit more, but it basically offered the ability to have up to a 10 gigabit per second connection at the same time. I just got 100 megabits at home, and I see places where you can get 10 gigabit per second, just can. Maybe you will not have the equipment to handle that, but you can hire the connection. Things happened. I moved back to Barcelona, and I discovered this association, this ISP, which I'm a part of, and I'm talking to you about today, which is EXO. And I hired a fiber to the home that gives me 600 megabits per second. Yeah. Meanwhile, in 2026, I came for this conference, and I realized I cannot make any phone calls. I do have data, but I cannot make any phone calls. Sweden just shut down 2G and 3G in February. Fun fact, because I had to, of course, understand this curious fact. Why do I have data on my phone and I cannot make any calls? Turns out that in order for people not to have the fake belief that they have a working phone and that they are able to make emergency calls, the Swedish government decided, well, if the providers of the network, if the operators of the network cannot make sure that a phone or a phone number, a SIM card, can handle calling emergency services over 4G, which is apparently a different thing from regular phone calls, they cannot be connected to the calling network in Sweden. Yeah, so this state of things today. And that's why I cannot make phone calls. Fun stuff. So that's happened.
Which ISP do you use when you phone?
So the ISP does support it as far as I understand.
I have that one for my phone.
As far as I know, my operator does support it. It's just that my SIM card is like 5 years old, something like that, and I would need to change it for it to be supported. That's what I gathered. I will try it out at some point. Maybe next year I have a small update and I can do. So in 2026, because I'm just kind of not quite making fun of Germany, just pointing out something that happens. I have friends in a big city in Germany that are not able to hire decent internet in big cities. This is weird. This happens. So I mentioned a few things when I talked about open network. One of them was GIFnet, which is an open, neutral, and libre network. This was like the origins of EXO. So GIFnet is a project that was created in Catalonia, not in Barcelona, that was intended to provide internet to people. This started in 2004. So remember the timeline that I shared before. 2004 is like ADSL starts coming in. So we have the option to have reasonably decent connections, but that requires a central station that is close to your home. And of course, big operators are not going to spend many resources when there's just not that many possible connections to have in rural areas. So they just didn't. And in the beginning of the 2000s, people started knowing what the internet was about. They started wanting it. And so they organized. GIFnet is one of those projects. It's still active, it still exists. There are many nodes. And how it works is roughly how we see in this picture. There's some antenna. The idea is that you get good internet somewhere, and then you have a bunch of antennae that are connected with each other, and then you can just use the air and the fact that the antenna can talk to each other to establish a link and transmit data over them, right? So GIFINet did not provide internet. It only allowed for a system so that people would get interconnected and would be able to do so in an organized fashion. There were, however, some exit nodes to the internet, and then you would have like a proxy that would allow you to exit the internet and it, by all effects, have a reasonably quick, reasonably fast internet connection in a place where the internet operators were just not interested. There was no market, that's what we said. So they didn't invest in anything. Nowadays, EXO still offers radio connections. So this is also something in Barcelona, some building, I don't even know what it is, but we have this in our records. And there are a couple mesh networks in a couple neighborhoods in the city. So a mesh network means that we have in the roofs a bunch of antennae connected with each other. And if one of them falls, it will magically try to find a different path so that they can still talk to each other, and in particular, somehow end up talking to a server that we have so that they can exit the internet. So we have some digital infrastructure. That means some servers, some switches, that kind of things. This is not how it looks like. It's retired. This is more of a current view of things. I had here a small sound clip from how the data center sounds like, but since we established that sound doesn't work, don't worry. And we see here a couple switches that's around here, and these are 4 different servers. Each of them has a bunch of CPUs, a bunch of RAM, and a bunch of storage in NVMe. So they're really, really fast hardware. People tell me that when they run VMs on this infrastructure, it's significantly faster than anything they have used from commercial operators. It's nice. We do not oversell, we do not overcommit resources that much. The nice thing about this is that this digital infrastructure is redundant. So if one of these nodes stops working, everything works fine. If 2 of them stop working, there's still, things are reasonably okay, but they start to be tight. Yeah? So we do not want to get to that point. There are more servers in the cluster, it's just those 4 are like the exact same. They're based in Barcelona, so we have a presence in a data center in Barcelona, because that's where we are located and we want no latency. And it's something that we manage and own in a joint fashion. So in Swedish, this is called gemensamt. I searched. Yeah, thank you, Swedish person. So in Spanish and Catalan, we call this mancomunado, meaning that we share this between different entities. One of them is a university, and they have like some right of use of certain percentage of the infrastructure, and we manage it as the association, and we own it legally. So this allows us to offer many online services. Like we have a very open Jitsi that is, I think, announced on the open Jitsis list. So a lot of people use it. Fun fact, at some point we had like 1,000 people from Peru connecting. We thought it was a US attack. Before I blocked by firewall all the networks, I kind of sneakily connected. So, oh crap, this is kids having class. Good. So we wrote to them, they didn't get in touch with us, and then they stopped using the service. We don't know. If someone from there watches this, get in touch. Like, it was fine, we just needed to establish connection because it's the kind of thing, right? You do not want someone to rely on your infrastructure for important things without even being aware that that's happening. So we also offer fiber to the home. That's what I have in my place. This is what I use. Oh no, 10 minutes. We do this using third parties' physical network. This is how that looks like in Barcelona. This is, if you think this is a mess, this is a fiber box, this is an Oregon. If you think this is a mess, this is a mess actually. So this is everyday life in Barcelona. Every building is like this. This is because there is no concept of sharing the fiber, really. So every operator wants to have their own actual network so that they can lease it or they can have the coverage for zero cost. And this is allowed, this is legally perfect. As a counter example, I mentioned Suriname before. Zurich owns their own fiber network. I was mentioned something similar happens in Sweden, and that is not as nice as the view I have. So it would be interesting to know if someone knows about Switzerland, whether or not this is so good. But basically, this is the company from the city of Zurich, and they are the electricity company, and they offer glass fiber to the providers. So, other than that, we have social projects, a bunch. Most of these are basically to give connectivity to people that are not that well when it comes to resources. We have the Barcelona Community Radio Network. If I had time, I would explain that. And we contribute to open source. Every year we have a small budget. We try to make that bigger every year because we use a lot of open source, produce open source, and participate in that. So we have a small budget that we share amongst different projects. We send a form and people vote what they want to deploy the resources on. So actually, as a community, we share a lot of knowledge. We experiment with technology. We just use random shit because that's what we like. Just want to do that. It's a human support network, and we do periodic physical meetings. So that's for us important. How does it happen? Well, we have about this many members, 109. Out of those, like 19 are legal entities, so 90 people. This was back in February, and this involves a lot of paperwork. So being a legal entity is this amount of work. That's independent of whatever you do. It doesn't matter what you do when you're a legal entity, it's this much work. Yeah. Some things that are ISP specific is that you have to be a registered network operator. In the case of Spain, it's called the CNMC. In other countries, there is similar agencies, and there may be some permits that have to be obtained. So there is also the thing with the regional internet registries, which I want to get into. When you sign up to them, you become a local internet register, and you get your autonomous system number, and you get an IP block assignment, or multiple if you're lucky. So core operational values of our ISP are that we speak local languages. And this is important because we want to not exclude people just based in language. So there is enough documentation in English, there's enough people doing things in English, and we want to just have this be available to people who are not that well with fluent in the language. So our governing body as an association is the yearly General Assembly. So big decisions get made here. And we have autonomous work groups that have some independence to manage things like the servers. So the work groups are open for members, anyone can join them. We document everything in the open. This is a discourse, Agora Exocat. Most things are public, some things for maybe legal reasons are just for members, but most things are public. We work open source first. This is our 4JO instance. We also donate to 4JO because we love it. And we try to, as much as possible, self-host, automate, and share resources with other people and entities. So I want to read this quote by a friend, member of the association that passed away this year, and this was done in relation to our 15-year anniversary, which said, we are where we are because of problems. When solving problems, we find solutions. We put in the work and learn. We try to do things in a way that they are useful to others. They need to have good quality, be economically viable, and be sustainable. Yeah? When things are economically viable in this association, we are able to do nicer things. So, the tech bits, we are going to go very quickly. Not everything is FOSS. We do use MyProject. I think it's pretty much the only thing that is not FOSS that we use. There is some Windows for some things. Okay, good. And we do have to use sometimes Windows, I think, to sign documents to give to the government. It's, you know, one of those things. Bye, have a nice talk. Thank you. The speaker of the next talk. We rely on a lot of open source software. Like this list, you can read it yourself, but what I want you to see is something like this. This has a coin. Why? Well, we donate to OpenPRT. It's one of the projects that we list and that people vote for, so that it gets some money from our yearly budget for donations. So we use Proxmox for the cluster. People are familiar with Proxmox maybe? Yeah, I see some people nodding. Yes. We use OpenCLFS as the storage, and we try to use as much as possible Debian-based OSs. Just use everyone, quote unquote, everyone knows it. But I'm stubborn, and I deployed FreeBSD as the authoritative naming services for the association. So these do the reverse PTRs, they resolve the domains of the association, and also some members like myself use these two servers as the secondary DNS services of their own domains. Things that can be done if you have access to big computing resources. And there is Libera Forums. People who were in the Lightning Talks before know that this is a project that was born in Barcelona. We know the people there, so that's why I put the pin on it. And we also donate to it. For Genio, Discourse, Let's Encrypt, Matrix, PrintPad, and HDoc. We use both. We do like some things of HDoc that we do not have on PrintPad, but it's a matter of time. And I have Discourse twice. Okay, well, Discourse is really important for us. It helps with the community building quite a bit. And do you notice something? Is that it's pretty standard software, so there's no black magic here. It's all software that we are mostly used to. So the heartbeats are not quite the tech. There are big and difficult problems, but this is not where operating an ISP in an associative fashion can get tricky. So for us, the heartbeats are maintenance, mostly because we are volunteers as well, so there's nobody on the payroll to be doing these things. Growing active members, so even though we have like 90 people that are members of the association, not everyone participates in shaping the association. There is a bit of an issue with generational change. So my generation took over from the one before that started this back in 2010, but we are not seeing many younger members. And volunteering has its limits, so these are things that have to be dealt with somehow. And I come back to the phrase by my professor back in 29, which was that we see computers and internet as a utility. And I think this is a bit of a tendency. I have developed this this hypothesis. Oh, that's the next thing. That we see the internet as something static to be consumed, maybe. I don't know. I pose the question. Do we know what to do outside the cloud? Does anyone want to maybe say, yes, we do, or no, I disagree? Okay.
Well, we can use it to build social infrastructure in the need space, so to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But the thing is that are we a part really of the internet when we are just like getting a virtual machine with some provider or renting a physical host?
Depends on the definition of part of the internet, I guess.
Good. Yeah. So my hypothesis is that we may be forgetting how the internet works. And physical layers can be anything. It can be a copper cable, like a DSL, LAN, whatever. It can be air, so like the antenna that talk to each other. It can be Bluetooth, it can be phones, it can be light, it can be anything. Someone asked me whether how I see the change to using 5G mostly and not really a physical connection that you have at home. And I think it's not necessarily about development, it's just that at least in what we see in countries like Spain is that you don't have a real internet connection. You have a connection that is behind a CGNAT, so you do not have a public routable IP. If you wanted, you would not be able to run a service under that IP. You usually do not get a fixed IP, which has its pros and cons, but even if you ask for it, they will want to charge you a bunch of money extra. So nowadays, nobody wants to do those things. And it has its pros and cons, of course. It's nice that people have connectivity through phones and that kind of things, but it does have its downsides. And as I mentioned, the physical layer can be anything. It can even be pigeons. So there are a couple RFCs that say how to do this. As far as I know, it's theoretical. But
I think they actually tried it once. Yeah, they tried to, I think they had like two I'm sorry. You can look it up afterwards, but it has been tested, I believe.
Okay, lovely. So there is the thing with the pigeons, which is documented how it should work, and that would enable us to have TCP/IP communications. It's fun. Talking about TCP/IP, we agreed on IP as a global amount of people that do things. So everything needs one of these. This is an IP6 address in case someone doesn't know them, because IP6 adoption is kind of not great still. And this is an IP4. So who owns an IP? You know, but I'm not letting you talk because you will talk too much. You know too well. All right, good. So the IPs are a limited and global resource. Strictly speaking, nobody owns them. It's like the radio frequency spectrum, right? So we decide on a convention that a specific frequencies for a specific use. Same thing happens here. So we decided many years ago that IPs were to be used in a specific way. This changes over time, but overall the idea has stayed the same. So IPs are managed by the IANA, which is the Internet Agency for Names and something. I forgot. Internet Agency for Name Assignation, yes. And it's split into 5 so-called RIRs. So regional, I said this before and it's now escaping me. Well, it's the thing where we had to register to get the IPs. So in Europe we have RIPE. This is ours. This is an association of association. This is an association and people can, usually through legal entities, join this. And the same happens, I think, with APNIC, which this is Asia Pacific, AREN, LACNIC, and AFRINIC. So it's roughly continental. And this means that an IP, when we look at an IP, it falls usually under the jurisdiction, in a way, of one of these 5 RIRs. So when you have that, you don't really know how to reach other IPs. So you have like the addresses, but you don't really have a roadmap. And I think, does everyone know what BGP is? Yes, some people do. Is there anyone who does not know what BGP is?
I do.
Great, lovely. So BGP is basically the protocol that gets used to exchange routes. To exchange routes means that this will enable us to reach the other parts of the internet that we have no idea about. So this is one of the internet exchange routers. It's telling us for IP4 that there are these many prefixes that we have received. This is 2 different BGP servers. So one is internal, just for redundancy, and one is external. So on the internet there are like, this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 million something routes for IPv4. That's a lot. If you want to do internet and to be an active part of the internet, this is roughly what gets done. We need to know where things are. So if some prefix gets offline, we will find a different way to reach other prefixes. And for IPv6, we see that the prefix amount is significantly smaller. Also, this is less fragmented. Yeah, so that's BGP in a nutshell, just very quickly. And remember my hypothesis about we're losing some knowledge? Well, I would invite you to get involved with this kind of project, the internet in general. So being an active part of it, like participating in an ISP, so especially something that is like community-based, that is an association, just any kind of local association, it's a good idea. And be active in your neighborhoods. Like say hi to the next person you find on the staircase. That's nice. And also it helps build things. Yeah, with that, I would like to thank you. You can scan the QR code if you want to check the slides, because there are like links for references and stuff. I forgot to mention that we have quite a few academic people in the association, so there are several papers written about the association, and you can go check them. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for questions. There is last talk here, so we can
This is not so much a question as a comment, but you said younger people, you expect, at least in Sweden, kind of ISPs has grown 25 years ago in Sweden, and it's kind of the business opportunity has passed in Sweden. So it's there might be people who know how to set up. Sorry, was it me or something else?
And you just... Sorry.
Okay. So it might be that people are interested in how to run a rogue ISP, but the commercial space has been dominated by buying up. Actually, someone from Orderland here I talked to earlier, which is running 3 data centers, just as a small operator with 3 data centers now. It's kind of that level, and that is sad because in troubled times we might want to be able to do guerrilla ISPs as well.
Yes, I think this is one of them.
Yeah.
So I think we want that, because what we're doing is, and this is happening everywhere, that ISPs are consolidating and they have a lot of power and they own a lot of the resources. So while I agree that the commercial thing has passed, like none of the services that we offer are actually competent in the actual market, because we're a non-profit, we're small, we do not have a scale economy, so it's actually expensive to like have a VM with us. You just have a better product. You are able to get involved in how the thing works. You are able to learn things. So those are things that you will not get at any provider. And there is a market for that, I think, because there are people like us who care about it.
I say all the way from how to use Linux to build an ISP, all the way to actually learning how you can terminate a fiber yourself without having an expensive robotic laser one. Because for short distances you can actually do that, and I encourage more people to learn about that because it's really useful to know how fiber works. There are cheap kits you can buy for FTTH, I think you before, and then you can buy cheap fiber from one of these wholesale for electrical things, and hack that and learn about that, and then you can have fiber converters, cool stuff with that, and you will never have a worry about if you do run a fiber outgrowth at some barn or something, but you will have trouble with lightning, because fiber will not pick up lightning. Stuff like that is useful as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's loud. So I was wondering, like, how competitive are you in Barcelona? Like, how do you compare to other ISPs? Are you popular? What's your pricing like?
We're not popular at all, because we are in a nearly 2 million inhabitant city, in a metropolitan region which is like 4-something million. The whole region, Catalonia, has like 9-something million. So we are not popular at all because we do not have any significant market share. That's also not our goal. There are some advantages to being a small ISP. I do not want to talk about every recording, and we can chat about it afterwards. And yeah, so this is not our goal. We're not competitive. It means that there are maybe fibers that cost 15 euros a month. They're kind of crap and they limit the transit, but like flows, they limit flows, but they work and most people don't care. So that's fine. Meanwhile, one of ours might cost all in all like 35, including being a member of the association, which is a requirement to have connectivity. Not for all services, but for that it is.
I just asked.
Hello. Okay. What parts of your services or infrastructure requires you to register as a legal entity?
Yeah. So
If you want to answer.
Basically, you cannot invoice anything without being a legal entity, at least in Spain. I know there are some countries which are a bit more lax about that, but we do not have that flexibility. There is also the matter of whether or not you want to be liable yourself for whatever happens. So that's where one of the things on the list was insurance. So legal entities are useful like that. Then there is also the fact that you cannot really get registered as a leader without being a legal entity unless it's like a natural person. I think that's possible, but someone has to sponsor you. And usually ISPs are not too keen on doing that.
Okay, thanks.
I have one.
Yeah, it will work.
You hear me now. Just want to share a cool hack from back in the day where Peter Ledberg and those guys, when they couldn't dig inside the city, they took a tennis ball, put that around fiber and sent it through the sewage to another point. That's how they did some of the early connections.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Sorry?
We do it in jail.
But this was in Stockholm, between houses. I did that.
So if nobody else has questions, I will just add one thing. It's that we are open, for example, to applying for PIs for people. We just haven't had any member that actually had wanted to follow through with that. So a PI, for people who don't know, is a provider independent resource. And anything can be a provider independent resource, including IPs, IP blocks, and AES numbers. So the AES number is what you need to do peering and to announce your prefixes. But it's not really, as far as I recall, necessary to get assigned a block of IPs. So well, if someone is interested, we could maybe chat. Like,
And you can say that someone in the room already has PIA numbers, and that's as we talked about yesterday.
yeah. So yeah, lovely.